Most people lose power the moment they open their mouth. They think speaking first shows confidence, intelligence, leadership. It doesn't. It shows exposure. Power is not loud. Power is not eager. Power does not rush to fill silence. Power waits. The first to speak reveals more than words. He reveals position. He reveals need. He reveals fear of uncertainty. And in every hierarchy that has ever existed, from primitive tribes to modern boardrooms, the one who cannot tolerate silence is never the one in control. You were taught the opposite. You were trained to believe that quick responses signal strength, that assertiveness means talking, that hesitation equals weakness. These ideas were not designed to make you powerful. They were designed to make you predictable. Machiavelli understood this with brutal clarity. He observed courts, rulers, enemies, and traitors not as moral puzzles, but as organisms, systems of hunger, fear, ambition, and perception. And one pattern repeated endlessly. Those who spoke first gave away leverage before the game even began. When you speak first, you define yourself. And the moment you define yourself, you limit yourself. Silence keeps your shape undefined, dangerous, unreadable. Speech collapses that ambiguity. It hands the other person a map. Understand this. Every social interaction is a negotiation of dominance, whether you acknowledge it or not. Even friendly conversations, especially friendly conversations. The human brain never stops scanning for hierarchy. Who leads, who follows, who reacts, who waits. When you speak first, you react, and reaction is submission disguised as politeness. Watch how animals behave. The predator does not announce itself. It does not chatter. It does not explain. It watches. It waits. It lets the environment reveal itself. The prey, on the other hand, makes noise. It moves nervously. It signals its presence because it cannot endure stillness. Humans have not evolved beyond this. We've only dressed it in language. Silence creates pressure, and pressure forces revelation. When you remain silent, the other person begins to speak more, not because they want to, but because their mind demands equilibrium. Silence feels like judgment, like scrutiny, like threat. The nervous system interprets it as social danger, so they fill it, they justify, they explain, they expose. They show you who they are, what they want, and where they are weak. And you give nothing in return. This is why speaking first always costs you power. It relieves pressure for the other person and transfers it onto you. You give them information before earning any. You reduce uncertainty for them while increasing it for yourself. You hand them control of tempo. Tempo is power. The one who controls when things move controls how they move. Machiavelli warned that men often destroy themselves by trying to appear agreeable. They rush to be understood. They rush to be liked. They rush to be seen as competent. In doing so, they surrender the very mystery that creates authority. Authority does not explain itself. It is assumed. Look closely at any dominant figure you've ever encountered. The ones who truly command a room do not rush to speak. They let others orbit them. They let words come to them. Their silence feels intentional, not empty, because it is. Silence signals abundance. It says, I do not need your approval. I do not need to prove myself. I am not afraid of this moment stretching longer than you are comfortable with. That message lands deep, deeper than words. But you've been conditioned to fear silence, to treat it like failure, to treat it like awkwardness. That conditioning serves those who want you easy to read and easy to control. Because a silent man cannot be steered easily. Once you speak, your words can be challenged. Your tone can be analyzed. Your intent can be reframed. But silence offers nothing to attack. It forces the other person to project, and projection is confession. This is not about being mute. This is about choosing when to reveal yourself. Machiavellian power is not loud dominance, it is strategic absence. It is the discipline to let others overextend while you conserve position. It is knowing that the first move is rarely the winning one. And here is the uncomfortable truth. If you feel compelled to speak first, it is usually because you are seeking validation, control, or relief from tension. That compulsion is a weakness others can sense instantly, even if they cannot name it. The world rewards those who can sit inside tension without flinching. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is loaded. And most people have never learned how to hold it without giving themselves away. That is where the real divide begins. Once you understand that silence creates pressure, the next realization becomes unavoidable. Pressure creates hierarchy. The one who speaks first lowers himself into the structure. The one who waits forces the structure to bend around him. This is not theory, it is biology. Human beings evolved in dominance-based groups where attention was survival currency. The individual who commanded attention without demanding it rose. The one who demanded attention exposed insecurity. Our nervous systems still recognize this instantly, before logic, before language. When you speak first, your body betrays you. Micro-signals fire, vocal tension, speed, inflection. Your brain is trying to stabilize social ground. That effort leaks, and the other person feels it, even if they cannot articulate why they suddenly feel taller. Silence does the opposite. Silence reverses polarity. The quiet presence triggers uncertainty in the other person's mind, and uncertainty is intolerable. The human brain is a prediction machine. It needs to know where it stands. When you deny it that data, it works harder. It fills the gap. It invents narratives. It assigns meaning to your stillness. Usually, it assigns power. This is why leaders throughout history spoke less than their subordinates, not because they had nothing to say, but because every word carried cost. Words collapse possibility. Silence preserves it. Machiavelli understood that men fear nothing more than being observed without being understood. That fear makes them careless. They over-explain. They reveal motives. They negotiate against themselves. If you want to see someone's true priorities, remain silent after they finish speaking. Do not nod. Do not reassure. Do not rescue them from the discomfort. Watch what happens. They will continue, and in that continuation, they will tell you what matters. They will tell you what they fear losing. They will tell you where they want approval. You didn't ask, you didn't probe, you simply let pressure do the work. This is why speaking first costs you power. You interrupt the extraction process. Most people are impatient. They think control means action. It does not. Control means restraint, the ability to delay gratification, the ability to let the other person expose themselves while you remain opaque. Opacity is dominance. In social hierarchies, clarity is weakness, not because clarity is wrong, but because it is expensive. Once others understand you fully, they can predict you. Once they can predict you, they can manipulate you or replace you. Machiavelli never advised transparency. He advised manageability of perception. You do not need to lie, you only need to withhold. When you speak first, you choose a frame prematurely. You define the conversation before understanding the terrain. You reveal what you value before knowing what the other side wants. That is not confidence. That is impatience disguised as strength. Real power listens first. Listening is not passive, it is predatory. The predator does not rush toward movement. It studies patterns, it memorizes behavior, it learns timing. Only then does it act. When it does, the outcome is already decided. Silence allows you to collect data without signaling intent, and intent is everything. The moment your intent is known, resistance forms, even friendly resistance, even unconscious resistance. Humans resist being steered once they sense direction. Silence delays that resistance. It keeps the other person relaxed, expressive, careless. You stay unreadable, they stay exposed. But there is another layer most people miss. Speaking first does not only give information, it establishes a lower status rhythm. In every interaction, there is a pace setter, the one who initiates topics, fills gaps, keeps energy moving. That role feels important. It is not. It is labor. The one who responds selectively controls value. High-status individuals respond. Low-status individuals perform. When you speak first consistently, you become the performer. You carry the burden of momentum. You entertain. You justify your presence. You invest energy to keep things alive. The one who waits forces others to invest instead. Investment creates attachment. Attachment creates leverage. This is why silence is unsettling. It demands effort from the other side, and effort creates imbalance. The person working harder subconsciously assigns higher value to the one they are working for. You don't need dominance displays, you need asymmetry. Machiavelli wrote that men judge more by the eye than by the hand. What they see shapes belief, and what they see when you remain silent is control, composure, selectivity. But silence must be disciplined. Empty silence is weakness. Awkward silence is insecurity. Controlled silence is authority. The difference is internal. If you are silent because you are afraid, it shows. If you are silent because you are choosing, it dominates the room. That choice requires comfort with being misunderstood temporarily. Most people cannot tolerate that. They rush to correct impressions, to explain themselves, to manage perception in real time, and in doing so, they lose it. There is a moment in every interaction where the power balance is undecided, a narrow window where silence can tilt everything. Miss it, and you are reacting for the rest of the exchange. Master it, and you will notice something disturbing. People begin to seek your words. And when people seek your words, each one becomes heavier, more authoritative, more dangerous. But this also introduces risk. Silence magnifies presence, and magnified presence attracts attention, envy, testing, challenges. If you are not internally solid, silence will expose you rather than protect you. That is where most fail, and that is what we must address next. Silence is not a trick, it is a position. And like every position of power, it demands internal structure. Without it, silence collapses into hesitation, and hesitation invites attack. This is why most people instinctively fill space with words, not because they have something to say, but because they're defending themselves against judgment. They feel watched, evaluated, measured, and they panic. You cannot afford that panic. Machiavellian control begins long before the interaction. It begins with your relationship to uncertainty. If you need immediate clarity, you will speak. If you need reassurance, you will speak. If you need approval, you will speak. Every need leaks. The disciplined mind does not rush to resolve ambiguity. It uses it. It lets ambiguity destabilize others while it remains grounded. This asymmetry is what shifts dominance silently, without confrontation. Understand this clearly. Silence does not make you powerful. Your ability to withstand what silence creates does. When you withhold speech, you create a vacuum, and vacuums demand to be filled. The other person's mind starts running scenarios. Are you unimpressed? Are you judging? Are you uninterested? Are you superior? They do not know, and not knowing places them below you, because the one who wonders is not the one in control. This is where power inversion happens. The one who entered the interaction confidently begins to self-monitor. They adjust tone, they soften statements, they add justifications, they seek feedback, all while you say nothing. You did not dominate them, you allowed them to diminish themselves. This is why Machiavelli emphasized appearances over force. Force creates resistance. Silence creates compliance. It lets people move themselves into lower positions willingly, without realizing why. But this only works if your silence is intentional. If you are silent because you are thinking, observing, calculating, not because you are unsure. The mind behind the silence must be sharp. You must be listening for leverage, for contradictions, for emotional spikes, for patterns. People reveal their hierarchy placement unconsciously through what they emphasize, repeat, or defend. Silence gives them the rope. They decide how much to use. There is a dangerous misconception that speaking less makes you invisible. It does not. It makes you heavier. Your presence occupies more psychological space because it is undefined. Defined things are manageable. Undefined things are threatening. That threat is subtle but constant. Silence forces others to carry the emotional labor of the interaction. They feel responsible for keeping it alive, for keeping you engaged, for earning a response. That responsibility shifts power quietly. This is why in negotiations, the one who speaks first loses. They anchor themselves, they reveal limits, they expose desire. The silent party retains optionality. Optionality is dominance. Machiavelli knew that those who show their hunger get fed last or not at all. Silence hides hunger. But here is where the weak misuse silence and fail. They treat it as withdrawal, as detachment, as absence. That creates distance, not control. Real silence is engaged, it is attentive, it is focused. Your eyes listen, your posture listens, your stillness listens. Everything in you communicates restraint, not avoidance. And this creates a paradox in the other person's mind. They feel seen but not understood, acknowledged but not validated. That unresolved tension makes them try harder. Trying harder is giving ground. This is how dominance forms without aggression. But power always tests itself. Once you begin to hold silence effectively, people will push. They will ask questions. They will provoke reactions. They will try to force you to reveal yourself so they can regain balance. This is the moment where most break. They mistake the test for a demand. They speak to relieve pressure, and the balance snaps back. You must recognize the test for what it is, a probe. Do not answer probes fully. Answer them partially, deliberately. Leave gaps. Let your words feel chosen, not automatic. When you finally speak, it should feel like a decision, not a reflex. Short, measured, controlled. The fewer words you use, the more weight each carries, but only if they come from stillness. Machiavelli warned that men lose authority when they are too eager to be known. Mystery is not deception, it is protection. It keeps your inner world insulated from external manipulation. The more others know about you, the easier it is to move you. Silence preserves internal sovereignty. But do not misunderstand, silence is not about hiding forever. It is about timing, about letting others reveal their position first. Once positions are revealed, then you speak, and when you do, you speak from elevation, from above the noise, from above the need to impress. This is where silence becomes terrifying. Because when someone who has said little finally speaks with certainty, the words land harder, they cut deeper, they feel final. People listen differently. They assume thought preceded speech, they assume calculation, they assume authority, and assumption is reality in social power. But this level of control comes with consequence. You are no longer perceived as neutral. You become a variable, a potential threat, and threats attract attention. If you cannot hold that attention without flinching, silence will turn against you. That is why the final lesson is the most important and the most dangerous.
By now you understand the mechanism, but understanding is not initiation. Silence does not merely shift power outward, it reshapes you inward, and that transformation is what separates those who borrow dominance from those who embody it. When you stop speaking first, something uncomfortable happens. You are no longer rewarded immediately. You are no longer affirmed in real time. The feedback loop disappears, and without that loop, many men feel hollow, invisible, unstable. That is the final filter. Most people need constant confirmation to exist. They speak to feel real. They explain to feel justified. They announce themselves to feel significant. Take that away and they unravel. Machiavellian power begins when you no longer require the world to reflect you back to yourself. Silence forces you to build identity internally, to sit inside your own authority without applause, without reassurance, without reaction. And once that authority is internal, it becomes unshakable externally. This is why silence terrifies weak men and empowers strong ones. A silent man cannot be easily provoked. A silent man cannot be rushed. A silent man cannot be baited into revealing his hand. He becomes strategically invisible and psychologically dominant at the same time. But there is a cost. Power always extracts payment. When you stop speaking first, you stop being easily liked. People project onto you. Some will admire you. Some will distrust you. Some will resent you. You will no longer be safely categorized. That is not a flaw. That is the price of elevation. Machiavelli never promised comfort. He promised control. Silence removes you from the emotional economy of constant exchange. You no longer trade words for acceptance. You no longer negotiate your worth. You simply occupy space, and others must decide how to approach you. Those who are secure will respect you. Those who are insecure will test you. Those who are weak will gossip about you. None of that matters, because you are no longer playing their game. Here is the final inversion most never grasp. Silence does not make you passive, it makes you selective, and selectivity is the highest form of dominance. You do not respond to everything. You do not explain everything. You do not engage with every stimulus. You choose. Choice is power. When you speak, it is because the moment deserves it, because the timing amplifies it, because the silence before it has created weight. Your words are no longer filler, they are interventions, and interventions reshape dynamics. People begin to listen for your cues, to wait for your reactions, to measure themselves against your stillness. They begin to adjust before you even speak. That is real control. Not obedience, not fear, but self-regulation in your presence. This is why speaking first always costs you power. It short-circuits this process. It keeps you trapped in surface-level exchanges where everyone is loud and no one leads. Silence moves you beneath the surface, and beneath the surface is where outcomes are decided. But do not romanticize this. Silence is not a costume you put on. It is a discipline you enforce. You must kill the impulse to rush, to clarify, to defend, to entertain. Every time you resist that impulse, you reclaim power. Every time you fail, you expose yourself. This is why most people will never master it. They want power without pressure, authority without isolation, control without self-command. They want the appearance without the cost. Machiavellian strategy does not reward that. It rewards those who can stand alone psychologically, those who can let silence stretch without flinching, those who understand that the first move is often the weakest one. If you have listened this far, it is because part of you already knows this. You have felt the shift when you withheld a response. You have seen how others lean forward when you do not rush to meet them. That is not coincidence. That is hierarchy reasserting itself. The world is loud because the world is insecure. Those who rise above it do not compete in noise. They control rhythm. Silence is not absence. Silence is command. And once you truly grasp that, you will never rush to speak again. If this perspective resonates, you already understand that this is not entertainment, it is filtration. Those who belong here choose to remain. Those who don't will drift back into noise. Decide accordingly.